mute spectators. These are all around us. People who will flip out a phone and film a rape or accident victim rather than help him or her. It happens so often that we often wonder if we have become a nation of bystanders. Today, ladies and gentlemen, these mute spectators were castigated by the Karnataka High Court. Imagine this, a woman is stripped, assaulted and paraded naked in front of 50 to 60 people, and these men and women simply watch. They simply watch. Not one person comes to help this woman, not even when she is tied to an electricity pole. This happened in Belagavi, in Karnataka. What was the woman's fault? She was a Dalit whose son had dared to fall in love with an upper caste girl. Today, the Karnataka High Court called the incident collective cowardice and called for collective responsibility. The bench also said that it is not the action of the offender, but the inaction of those standing at the spot that is more dangerous. I'm going to repeat that for you. The court said it is not the action of the offenders, but the inaction of those standing at the spot that is more dangerous, because it tells us something about the people we have become. So furious was the court, it has now asked for a fine to be collected from these bystanders and the collected money be given to the victim. Is that the way forward? Has India become a nation of bystanders? And why do people simply stand and gawk and watch instead of helping people who have met with an accident, instead of helping people who are bleeding, instead of seeing someone who's half naked and being paraded through the village? Why do people not say or do anything? Brijesh Kalappa is a senior lawyer joining us on the broadcast. Brinda Adige is an activist joining us on the broadcast. Brinda Adige, I want to ask you whether what the High Court, Karnataka High Court, has said and done today, will it change anything at all? You know, I don't know whether the fine will be collected from the Belagavi bystanders by the end of the day or not. But that is hardly the way forward. The way forward was a Good Samaritan law, which is already in place. And yet, you have people who bleed to death on the road, but no one will come and help them.
I'm in complete agreement with you. What the High Court has asked, collecting the fine from the villagers, is not at all the response and the answer that I would expect from the High Court at all. First and foremost, High Court has to delve into why is it that the citizens are apathetic, mute, and do not want to come forward. Maybe it is because of the entire justice system, a justice system that is tedious and cumbersome and does not respect witnesses. It continues to do that. So nobody comes forward. Two, it is a caste issue. And in this caste issue, the powers and the influencers are very, very strong. So you cannot expect an entire village to come up in arms, even to support this woman, because the aftermath of it is going to be even worse from the people who are in power and the dominant caste. And the police would not be able to do either ways anything, because they even refuse to register cases under the Prevention of Atrocities Act. They refuse to register, even though there is a prima facie case over there. So we must hold the state responsible first. What has the court done about the police not doing anything? Why did they take 3 hours? Why hasn't the court asked that question? What has the court done for all the other cases that have come before it? And what is the judgment the courts have given? Have there been any punishments, even though there have been enough and ample evidence? So these are the questions I want to ask. Yes, you must fine, you can fine, but the woman has to live in that village, and the villagers are going to taunt her, saying that all the fine money collected has come to her. And is that what she wants to live? She's a beggar, she's a thief. That is not what the court wants. Let the court take the money and employ additional policemen and women, or employ additional prosecutor with that money, and ensure that this case is fast-tracked and due procedural justice is done.
Okay.
Not only for this particular case,
Brijesh
but
Kalappa,
also for other cases, and pulling up state agencies and functionaries.
Okay. Okay, Brijesh Kalappa, rightly, Brinda Adige is pointing out to the fact that this is a case that concerns Dalits. But the fact is, and there are different dynamics at play. But the one thing common we see across this country, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, is how mute spectators will simply watch and do nothing. It has happened in Jammu and Kashmir in the case of a filmmaker. We know this because the story had gone viral. There's a IPS officer's son who drags him for about 10 minutes or 15 minutes. For 30 minutes, this man is lying, bleeding. It takes a family member to get to him and finally take him to hospital, because absolutely no one bothered to take him to hospital. Again in Delhi, a case where a woman is stabbed 30 times. People are simply watching. No one is doing anything. No one is making any attempt to help this woman. Is this just a failure of our justice system, or is there a failure on the part of citizens? Is there a failure in our morality as well, that we are happy to see someone bleeding on this road and we are happy to click a picture or shoot a video, but we are not okay to take that poor person, put him in an auto or a car and take him to hospital? It has happened so many times. It's not just Belgavi.
I agree with you, Shreya, and I agree with Brinda also. But it's my perspective that as far as the bystanders are concerned, in fact, bystanders' apathy has increased after everybody now has a mobile phone. And so people are busy taking shots of what has actually happened rather than actually intervene in the situation. In fact, even if you go for a function, you'll find that parents are not in the moment. They're only taking pictures of events of their children or so on and so forth. So they're trying to save it up for posterity. For what reason, we don't know. But ultimately, this is a psychological issue. Now, if the Karnataka High Court has actually levied a fine against the bystanders, I think this is a little bit of a shock treatment. And I think the bystanders overall require a little bit of a shock treatment to wake them up and to say that, look, leave your phone aside, leave your friends aside, leave your, being in the moment aside, and actually start thinking, because ultimately it's a question of making use of your presence of mind. Because if most people, they become like sheep and they're just watching, it doesn't help the situation. We require bystanders who are able to use their presence of mind, who are able to think in the moment and say, is what is happening before me, is it the right thing or the right thing or the wrong thing? One. Two, am I to take a stand in this case or am I not to take a stand in this case? I think this High Court order is salutary for this reason, that of course, one may feel that, look, these are a disparate set of people, and why should we actually levy a fine on them? And like Brinda rightly pointed out, there is also the caste angle, because many of them may be lower caste and they can't really, flex their muscles against people who are in the upper caste. I agree that all that is one thing, but when the court has levied a fine and that is to be collected and handed over to this lady, the lady of course is also going to be compensated separately. I understand that she's going to be given a couple of lakh of rupees, I think 5 lakh and 2 acres of land.
Correct.
And the point is that she's not really a Dalit because she's a scheduled tribe, so there's no untouchability angle to this. The scheduled tribes, as you know, they are not untouchables. Okay. So there's no Dalit angularity to this. So I think, see, it's just another way of looking at it. I don't find fault with the court. I don't find fault with the people. The people have been doing this for far too long. I think you need to wake them up. And I think this court order has a salutary effect of waking them up.
Okay, Brinda Adige, very quickly as I end this chat, look at what the court is saying. It's saying more dangerous than the actions of the accused is the inaction of the mute spectators who simply did nothing. And in my view, it is actually more dangerous because it tells me something about the people we have become. Happy to just stand and gawk. So while it is easy for us to blame the justice system and say we don't have any faith in the justice system and that you are harassed by the law if you go and help someone out, there are 20 questions asked. Brinda, there is some, all of us have some conscience, there is some morality. Is this what we have become? My bigger question is this what we have become?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Not only the morality, but the entire civic responsibility. Don't I have a responsibility to come forward and help anybody, whatever might be the consequences afterwards? And in that area, I think we are lacking because that education has not yet seeped into all of us. We have become very self-centered. More than self-centered, we have also become very indifferent. And I still want to hold the state responsible, but I want to hold myself and the citizens even more responsible. Because at the end of the day, I think all of these structures also reflect what we as citizens are and have become.
Okay, Brinda, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to thank both of you for joining us on the broadcast, Mr. Kalappa as well. Thank you very much. This was a quick chat, but we are staying with the South and we are shifting our focus from Karnataka now to Tamil Nadu. It's been a dreadful, dreadful